The Listener. The Listener. Alger Wilson. The first glimpse is of Alger, the hanged man, sequence 7 of the Hunter Pathway, on an ancient three-masted sailboat navigating a massive storm. He is anticipating the Monday Tarot Club gathering and notes his target: pursue the listener from the Aurora Order. The Black-Robed Man. The scene shifts to a black-robed man and his young son, Jack, on a pirate ship. The man, a listener, likely sequence 7 of the Visionary Spectator Pathway, from the Aurora Order, tells his son he is bringing him to a holy place where the Creator once lived. Aurora Order Beliefs. The man espouses heretical beliefs, claiming the Creator exists in every living being and all beings have godhood. The current 7 deities are only powerful angels. Consequence. After trying to listen for more murmurings, the man's expression warps, black shards protrude from his skin, and he shouts in agony, "They are lying," a sign of the severe mental, spiritual instability that comes with this pathway and the heresy. The Sealed Artifact Mission. New orders. Klein returns to Blackthorn Security to find Captain Dunn Smith waiting. The Notebook. The Antagonist family's notebook is confirmed to be with Ray Bieber, but he has vanished. Dunn has alerted other Nighthawks teams to monitor transport hubs. The Verification. To help confirm if Ray Bieber is a genuine descendant of the Antagonist family, Dunn has requested that the sealed artifact 2049, a dangerous item once belonging to the Antagonist family, be escorted to Tingen. Klein is curious but refrains from asking for details due to clearance restrictions. The Choice. Dunn expresses continued puzzlement over Klein's choice of seer over other, seemingly safer pathways like Sleepless or Mystery Prior, sequence 9. Klein's prepared answer. Klein explains his choice with a well-rehearsed answer. Seer is a support role, and he lacks the guts to face enemies. More importantly, he avoids Mystery Prior because the name itself suggests prying mysteries, which his experience has taught him leads to terrifying outcomes. Dunn accepts this as a very reasonable answer. The Mandate to Act. The Mission. Dunn officially tasks Klein with continuing to search for clues about the notebook, specifically instructing him to continue going out for now. Perhaps you might sense the notebook and help us confirm Ray Bieber's location. This conveniently aligns with Klein's need to go out and act as a seer. Dunn's Bother. As Klein attempts to leave, Dunn stops him 3 times with minor, practical reminders: maintain shooting skills, increase strength, possibly hire a combat trainer. Dunn is seemingly struggling to remember what he wanted to say, emphasizing his forgetfulness. The Divination Club. After practicing at the shooting club, Klein heads to the Divination Club. The Doctor Misunderstanding. Angelica greets him and immediately relays Glasses' strange message. "Mr. Glasses said that you are a very, very, very magical doctor, are you?" Klein is flabbergasted, realizing Glasses mistook his divination about his serious illness for a medical diagnosis that saved his life. Klein successfully navigates the doctor confusion and secures his first client by using a subtle form of spirit dowsing and relying on a powerful recommendation. He then performs a complex divination that is strikingly accurate, boosting his confidence and the seer pathway. The Doctor Confusion. The Misinterpretation. Angelica, the receptionist, relays Glasses' belief that Klein is a very, very, very magical doctor who diagnosed his lung ailment just by looking at him. Klein's Pivot. Realizing this originated from his simple observation/divination based on Glasses' dark glabella, Klein seizes the opportunity. He dismisses the doctor title, but reframes the ability as face reading, a form of divination akin to palm reading. The Acting Trial. To secure Angelica's essential recommendation, Klein activates his spirit vision on her. He notes her purple head, red limbs, and blue throat aura colors, indicating fatigue but nothing serious. He then spots rich darkness deep within her emotional aura, signifying sealed sorrows and pains. The performance. Klein adopts a deep, comforting voice and advises her to go exercising, mountain climbing, tennis, or perform a tragic play to exhaust her body and allow her tears and screams to express all those emotions. Angelica is stunned into silence, her belief in him solidified. The first client. The setup. Klein then demonstrates spirit dowsing for Angelica, holding a silver chain with a topaz above his Saibe black tea. The topaz began swinging clockwise, confirming the tea is great. This subtle display reinforces his mystical competence. The recommendation. Angelica, now convinced, recommends Klein to a melancholy lady, Anna, who is seeking a divination about her missing fiancé. Anna explains her fiancé, Joyce Meyer, sailed to the southern continent for business and sent a telegram last month saying he was returning on the ship Alfalfa. He is now over a month late. Anna is worried and requests any method except cards. The preparation. Klein chooses the astrolabe method, requesting Joyce's full name, features, address, and date of birth, September 15, 1323, 2 p.m. Numerology. Klein first uses spirit numerology to calculate Joyce's birthday path number, 6, balanced life, and year path number, 5, change and accident, confirming the situation is risky but not immediately hopeless. The method. After creating the astrolabe diagram and reviewing the information, Klein locks the door, writes the query Joyce Meyer's current situation in Hermes, and performs dream divination. The revelation. Part 1. The divination. 1. Klein first sees the blond young man swimming frantically in a sea of blood, escaping to shore. 2. The scene changes to a blue house with a toy windmill at the door. Joyce is entering joyfully. Part 2. The intrusion. 1. The image shatters and Klein finds himself in a magnificent ruined palace on a mountain peak, likely the nation of the Evernight in the Hornices mountain range. 2. He feels a silent gaze from behind. 3. He turns to see the giant stone throne covered in countless transparent maggots that are slowly twitching and growing. The interpretation. The initial dream is the successful divination. Joyce survived a calamity, the sea of blood, and has arrived at Anna's house, the toy windmill. The second dream is a targeted intrusion or warning, likely related to the Antigonus family's notebook or the mysterious power he uses. The result. The confirming detail. Klein asks Anna if she has a toy windmill by her door. Anna is shocked, confirming it was a gift from Joyce and is indeed by her door. The conclusion. Klein gives a firm conclusion that is unlike most vague fortune tellers. Congratulations, Miss Anna. Mr. Joyce Meyer is currently a guest at your place. He advises her to go home immediately to give him consolation and a warm hug. The payment. Anna, in a state of delirious joy and disbelief, flees without waiting for change, leaving a 1 solly note, a generous fee for the 4 pence required. The verification. Anna races home and finds Joyce Meyer, haggard but alive, standing at her door. The toy windmill turns slowly as they embrace. The divination was perfectly accurate. Anna's fiancé, Joyce Meyer, confirms the details of his terrible journey, realizing the full extent of Klein's divination accuracy, which cements Klein's reputation as a real seer. The ordeal. Joyce confirmed he was delayed after pirates led by Nost, the king of the 5 seas, raided their ship, the Alfalfa. He explains Nost's policy of not killing captives due to his self-proclaimed Solomon Empire lineage saved them from the initial attack. The blood-soaked journey. The worst ordeal came afterward when a heated conflict erupted among the passengers and crew, leading to a bloody massacre over many days. Joyce, with a few rational survivors, hid in the keel of the ship until a hero, Mr. Triss, led them in a counter-assault. The arrival. The ship was driven off course, but eventually made it to Enmet Harbor. The survivors were held for questioning, preventing them from sending telegrams until their release that morning. Joyce immediately took the steam locomotive home. Confirmation of divination. Joyce is confused about how Anna rushed to the door with such anticipation. Anna explains she went to the divination club, and the seer, Klein Moretti, told her exactly that Joyce was home and near a windmill that moment, needing consolation. The shock. Joyce, Anna, and the Wayne couple are all flabbergasted. Joyce realizes the divination was accurate even though he hadn't told anyone he was coming to Anna's house first. Mr. Wayne concludes that divination must exist for a reason, controlling vast amounts of information. Tip and reputation. Back at the club, Klein gives Angelica a small tip, half a pence, from the 1 solly fee as thanks for her recommendation, ensuring she will continue to speak highly of the real seer. The pause. Klein waits for his next customer, but no one chooses him. He recognizes he still lacks reputation and leaves, encountering Angelica again, who asks when he will return so Glasses can thank the magical doctor in person. Klein replies in character, "If fate permits us, he will definitely meet me." Home life. Klein returns home to find Benson reading and Melissa tinkering with parts. He learns Mrs. Shod's visit was friendly, though Melissa complains about the neighbor's belief that girls should be homeschooled, a typical conflict among the different Lowen Kingdom church congregations. Klein locks himself in his room to perform a critical piece of the acting method, self-analysis and summarizing his knowledge and conjectures in Mandarin to ensure secrecy. The mechanism of acting. Klein develops 2 hypotheses on why acting aids the digestion of Beyonder potions. 1. Resonance and assimilation. Acting changes the state of one's body, heart, and soul to be closer to the potion's remnant headstrong psyche, allowing for gradual assimilation and absorption through resonance. 2. Deception or key. The potion's psyche is a computer with complete defensive mechanisms. The potion's name provides a clue or key, allowing the Beyonder to disguise themselves as part of the system through acting, thereby deceiving the defenses, similar to Emperor Roselle's description. Conclusion. Both hypotheses rely on aligning the body, heart, and soul with the path. Limitations of a seer. Klein attempts to explain why a learned path like the seer is weak in direct combat, leaning towards 2 primary reasons. 1. Fundamental balance. The core law of the world is balance. Beyonder potions at the same sequence have the same optimal power level. Being stronger in divination or mysticism requires a corresponding weakness in direct combat to prevent a collapse and loss of control. Hypothesis 3. 2. Fragmented source. All power stems from the creator's fragments, and all Beyonder paths must complement each other due to inherent individual shortcomings. Hypothesis 4. The troll ritual. Klein analyzes his luck enhancement ritual based on standard ritualistic magic, which has 3 parts: sacrifice, incantation, and goal description. The flaw. His ritual is missing the 3rd part, the goal description. The entity is not told what to enhance, leaving it to do as they see fit. What a troll! The agenda. Klein realizes that the consistent, stable results of his subsequent rituals, appearing above the gray fog and connecting with justice and the hanged man, suggest the unknown entity has an agenda that cannot be changed by simple requests. The danger. Attempting to introduce a new stimulus to the sleeping entity to find a way back to Earth is potentially too dangerous, as the entity might not be asleep. The unanswered questions. Confidential. Klein lists critical questions he can't answer. The murmurings. He continues to hear formless voices shouting Hornassus and Frigera or Phagrea. Hornassus, the mountain range dividing Lowen Kingdom and Intis Republic, which is home to the ruined nation of the Evermite mentioned in the diary. The Antigonus family. Was the nation of the Evernight related to the Evernight goddess? Did the Church of Evernight obliterate the Antigonus family? What was the Beyonder sequence of the Antigonus family? Tied fate. Is his fate truly tied up with the diaries, or was the connection an arranged coincidence? Maintaining secrecy. The destruction. After writing 4 pages in Mandarin, Chinese, to ensure absolute confidentiality, Klein immediately lights the pages with a match and burns them in the wooden dustbin. The reason? He cannot risk old Neil or anyone else finding evidence that he knows how to write Chinese due to the existence of Emperor Roselle's secret diaries. The plan. He decides to perform this summary once a week to organize his thoughts and prevent memory loss. The next step. Klein pulls out a new sheet of paper to write a letter to his former mentor, Senior Associate Professor Quinton Cohen, requesting historical information about the main peak of the Hornassus mountain range. Establishing secret communication. Klein dedicates his free time to practice mysticism and, before the gathering, tries to find a way for Justice and the Hanged Man to inform him if they will be absent without relying on physical messages. The breakthrough. He is inspired by ritualistic magic. If rituals can be directed at powerful, mysterious existences, they can be directed at him, the Fool, via the mysterious space above the gray fog. The incantation. To ensure the message is accurately directed, he crafts a 3-part description that specifically locks onto himself and the gray fog space. 1. The fool that doesn't belong to this era. 2. The mysterious ruler above the gray fog. 3. The king of yellow and black who wields good luck. This final line is a safer version of the original chant and ties into his luck ritual experience. The effect. This effectively creates an offline instant messaging system where he can check for messages whenever he enters the gray fog space. The Tarot Gathering and New Beyonders. The gathering begins and Klein notes the status of his 2 members. Miss Justice, Audrey Hall. Her aura is now pure and serene, indicating she is a spectator, sequence 9. The constellation on the back of her chair is the symbol of a giant dragon. Mr. Hanged Man, Alger Wilson. His aura is purer, suggesting he has advanced, likely to Sailor or Keeper of the Sea. The constellation is the symbol of storm. The Fool's persona. Klein immediately congratulates Audrey on becoming a Beyonder, reinforcing his all-knowing image. Emperor Roselle's diary pages. Audrey and Alger provide 3 new pages of Roselle's diary, written in Chinese. Page 1, Voyage. Roselle begins a voyage on his ship, the Black King, leaving his fortunes for others to find at the Fog Sea. He notes the extraordinary beings on a nameless island, comparing the difficulty of writing Darwin's theory of evolution there. Page 2, Marriage. Roselle initially rejects an arranged marriage, stating he must fight against it. Days later, he finds the intended bride, Matilda Abel, really pretty, and changes his mind, noting he is called the son of the steam. Page 3, The Savant and Acting. This page provides crucial information. O, sequence choice. Roselle chose the Savant pathway, complete sequence, over Mystery Prior, incomplete at the time, offered by the Church of the God of Craftsmanship. He chose the complete path so he could strengthen himself and return home by his own power. O, the acting method confirmed. After consuming the Savant potion, he notes that when he acts in line with the role, example, addressing himself as a savant, the voices and the risk of losing control significantly soften. He realizes this must be the acting mentioned by the mysterious Mr. Zaratul, and that this could be key in resolving the side effects post-potions. The acting method explained. Audrey, driven by the diary entry, immediately asks the Fool for the true meaning of acting. The analogy. Klein explains the acting method using a tightly guarded castle analogy. The castle holds the potion's core powers and the lashback psyche. Forceful invasion is dangerous and often results in self-injury. The invitation method. The safer way is to receive an invitation from the castle owner, which is the name of the potion sequence. The disguise. The Beyonder must disguise themselves and act as the guest who matches the invitation specifics, allowing them to slide through the scrutiny of the guards and infiltrate the castle to eliminate the enemy, the remnant psyche, and become the true master. Payment. Audrey accepts this answer as very valuable and states it fits the full style. She offers more diary pages or information in exchange. The price. Klein requests anything regarding the Antigonus family, subtly steering them to look for clues related to his main investigation. The Antigonus family and ancient history. As payment for the acting method explanation, Alger provides information on the Antigonus family. Ancient lineage. The Antigonus family traces its history back to the Cataclysm epoch, Third Epoch. The Second Blasphemia Slate. Their history is directly related to the appearance of the Second Blasphemia Slate at the end of the Cataclysm epoch. Note, the First Blasphemia Slate appeared in the Dark Epoch, Second Epoch. Both contain the profound mysteries of the 22 paths of the divine, sequence pathways. Solomon and Tudor empires. They were prominent aristocrats during the Solomon dynasty, Fourth Epoch, and became powerful under the Tudor Empire, Blood Empire. The fall. After the War of the Four Emperors and the fall of the Blood Emperor, the Antigonus family was hunted by the seven deities and ultimately destroyed by the Church of Evernight. Adjectives. The only remaining widespread descriptions of the family are strange and terrifying. Klein realizes this description perfectly fits the events surrounding the Antigonus notebook. The sequence pathway and the golden retriever. Justice's sequence. Audrey asks for the next sequence in her spectator pathway. Alger reveals it is sequence 8, telepathist, followed by sequence 7, psychiatrist, ancient name, psyche analyst. He traces the knowledge to the psychology alchemists. The uncomfortable question. Audrey then asks, with nervous and frantic emotion, which Klein observes using his spirit vision, what would happen if a normal animal drank a sequence 9 potion? Alger's answer. It would most likely lead to immediate death or a breakdown into a monster due to a lack of human intelligence and inability to practice cogitation. However, if it survived, it would become an extraordinary creature and potentially grow smarter. Klein correctly deduces she did something stupid, likely involving her golden retriever, Susie. The new communication ritual. Klein sets up a ritual for Justice and the Hanged Man to request a leave of absence for the gathering. The setup. They are instructed to perform a modified version of the luck enhancement ritual, using 4 candles with sandalwood scent, various foodstuffs, white bread, Potter noodles, paella, desi pie, and a mix of distilled essential oils, moonflower, gold mint, slumber flowers, fingered citron, and rock rose. The incantation, the blasphemia. The incantation is designed to lock onto Klein and the gray fog space. In Hermes, they must recite, "The fool that doesn't belong to this era, you are the mysterious ruler above the gray fog. You are the king of yellow and black who wields good luck." The reaction. Both Audrey and Alger are severely shaken. Audrey realizes Klein is claiming a status equal to one of the 7 deities in the formula structure. Alger fears the fool is a terrifying, ancient, godlike existence, like the primordial demoness or hidden sage, and is relieved he's never acted foolishly. The outcome. Klein tasks them with completing the ritual by Wednesday, so he can check the results on Thursday. Exploration of the gray fog. After the others leave, Klein briefly explores the limits of his space. The throne symbol. He examines the symbol on the back of his chair, the seat of honor. It is composed of a pupilless eye, concealment, and contorted lines, change, both incomplete and overlapped. He is unable to deduce the meaning of an incomplete concealment and an incomplete change. The palace's origin. He wonders if the magnificent towering palace and the bronze table were merely a rough concept from his initial imagination, the best possible choice, or a reflection of reality. The end. Klein decides not to explore the boundless illusory land further for fear of getting lost. Audrey, back in her room, realizes her golden retriever Susie is watching her with the analytical intensity of a spectator, confirming the dog's change. Klein's mourning and professional development. Financial status. Klein notes the family needs money for basic quality of life upgrades, better clothes, porcelain tableware, and his beyonder expenses. He calculates he needs about a year to elevate his family to middle-class status without promotions.
Angelica's change. Using his spiritual vision, Klein observes that Angelica's troubled emotions, grayness, have dispersed and been replaced by sunlight-like whiteness. The seer's path. Angelica sincerely thanks him for his suggestion, likely referring to the previous chapter's content, which was omitted, but involved a suggestion that improved her mood. Klein realizes this genuine act of helping an inquirer causes his spirituality to relax and become live, leading him to suspect this might be the core action required by the seer sequence. The apothecary clue. Klein meets Glasses, who is cured of his ailment by a magical medicine from an apothecary named Lawson Darkwade at 18 Vlad Street in East Borough. Klein files this information for future use. The investment divination. Glasses requests a divination on a massive investment opportunity involving a Hornicus mountain range iron ore mine discovered by a Mr. Lanevus. Klein performs an astrolabe divination and points out that the result shows a very unsuccessful endeavor. Below the flourishing surface is a cliff, a chasm. Glasses is reluctant to accept the bad news, confirming the helplessness of a seer who can only give suggestions, not make decisions. Joyce Meyer's dream interpretation. Joyce Meyer, Anna's fiancé, arrives at the club seeking an interpretation for his recurring, identical nightmare. The dream. Joyce dreams of falling into a dark red, blood-filled ocean from the Alpha. He is grabbed by an unidentified, strong person on the boat, but he is simultaneously holding on to and failing to save a villainous passenger named Eunice Kim. Both the person above him and Joyce release their grips, and he plummets awake. Klein's guidance. Klein explains that recurring, fixed dreams can be spiritual reminders or divine revelations that point to disregarded details from a traumatic event. Uncovering the truth. 1. Klein points out that Joyce feels regret for letting Eunice Kim fall, even though Kim was a brutal murderer and rapist. Why the regret? 2. Klein guides Joyce to recall the abnormality of the sudden conflict on the Alpha and the possibility that Kim knew why everyone acted as though possessed by the devil. Joyce admits he wished to interrogate Kim. 3. Klein then makes the final, powerful deduction. The person who grabbed Joyce but then released him is the true object of suspicion. He is your partner. He once had control over your fate, or maybe even saved you before. The revelation. Joyce is shocked and blurts out the name, Mr. Triss, the seemingly kind, bashful hero who saved the survivors. He realizes his dream points to Triss as the mastermind or primary catalyst for the tragedy. The aftermath. Joyce pays the 1 solly fee, calls Klein Master Moretti, and states he is going to the police station. Klein muses that the events on the Alfalfa seem extraordinary. The Golden Retriever Ritual. The chapter ends with Audrey, the next day, addressing her golden retriever, Susie the Beyonder. Audrey tells Susie that since she is also a Beyonder, they must help each other. She instructs Susie to guard the door while she conducts the communication ritual established by the Fool. Susie's reaction. Susie wags her tail in exasperation, displaying clear human-like intelligence and understanding. Audrey's ritual attempt. Audrey prepares for the ritual designed by the Fool to request a leave of absence, demonstrating her spectator skills and her growing familiarity with mysticism. Preparation. She uses her spectator state to view the imagined process and correct her approach. She bathes with the ritual's essential oil blend, moonflowers, gold mint, etc., which is so relaxing it nearly causes her to fall asleep, only to be roused by Susie, her golden retriever. Execution. She sets up the altar with the 4 candles and 4 ritualistic foods: bread, noodles, paella, daisy pie. After creating a spiritual environment with a silver knife and coarse salt, she begins the chant. The Fool that doesn't belong to this era, you are the mysterious ruler above the gray fog. You are the king of yellow and black who wields good luck. As she begins, she feels a stir, and a dark red star swirls on the back of her hand before she finishes her silent plea. Klein's instant feedback. While riding a public carriage, Klein suddenly experiences the result of the ritual. The murmur. He hears shapeless murmurs and feels a throbbing pain in his forehead, similar to the initial spiritual expansion from his potion. The black dots. 4 black dots, like tiny moles, appear, then quickly dim and vanish from the back of his right hand.
Conclusion. Klein deduces that the ritual was successful in directing the request to him via the gray fog space. But because he is not powerful enough, he cannot hear the contents of the request. It is likely being stored above the gray fog. He plans to confirm the stored message that night. The instigator case. Klein is interrupted by Captain Dunn Smith, who gives him an internal arrest warrant. The suspect. The warrant is for Triss, a young, amiable-looking boy with a round face, suspected of being a vicious beyonder. The crime. Triss is the culprit behind the massacre of the Alfalfa and is estimated to be a Sequence 8 instigator. Confirmation. Dunn confirms Klein's dream interpretation was correct, as the machinery hive mind requested help last night, and Joyce Meyer's dream details led to the confirmation that Triss was the instigator. New Beyonder information. Dunn allows Klein to read confidential Nighthawk documents to better understand Beyonders and secret organizations before his scheduled trip to the underground market with Old Neil. 1. The Seer Pathway, Klein's. Sequence 9, Seer. Sequence 8, Name Unknown. The Beyonder is good at fighting with artifice and very crafty. Klein is confused by this seemingly aggressive, unconventional progression. Sequence 7, Name Unknown. The Beyonder is good at many spells that can be quickly cast and fuses one's body skill and supernatural powers as one. This makes more sense to Klein. The origin. This pathway was first established by the Zaratul family in the Solomon Empire and is suspected to be connected to the ancient secret order. Note, Klein is struck because Mr. Zaratul was the one who taught Russell the concept of acting, linking the acting method directly back to the seer pathway, suggesting a subtle, predestined influence. 2. The Hanged Man's Pathway, Lord of Storms. Sequence 9, Sailor. Sequence 8, Folk of Rage. Ancient name, Guardian of the Storm. Greatly enhanced strength and speed when enraged, compared to a storm. Sequence 7, Seafarer. Ancient name, Storm Priest. A scholar of astronomy, geography, intuitive grasp of ocean factors, beloved by the oceans, can act freely underwater and cast limited water spells. Klein suspects Alger is likely a seafarer. 3. Miss Justice's Pathway, Psychology Alchemists. Sequence 9, Spectator. Observes to gain information and provides subtle influence. Sequence 8, Telepathist. Observation extends to aura and ether body, can read minds and understand thoughts precisely. Sequence 7, Psychiatrist. Ancient name, Psyche-Analyst. Can directly influence a target, either curing or inducing mania. 4. Roselle's Pathway, God of Steam and Machinery. Sequence 9, Savant. Believes knowledge is power. Knowledgeable about chemistry, aqua regia, nitroglycerin, and engineering. Perfect for Roselle. Sequence 8, Archaeologist. Good knowledge of history, outdoor survival, and forbidden knowledge of ruins. Strong body. Sequence 7, Appraiser. Can intuitively understand the powers and problems of most extraordinary items. 5. Other pathways. Mystery Prior. Sequence 7 is Warlock. Sequence 8 is Blank. Apprentice, Mage Path. Sequence 8 is Trickmaster. Wields strange but impotent spells. Marauder, Thief Path. Sequence 8 is Swindler. Gains enjoyment from swindling, which Klein notes is acting in a different form. The chapter ends as Klein is about to find the information for the Instigator Pathway. Klein finishes his research on the Instigator Pathway, revealing the existence of the Demonist sect, and then successfully tests his ability to communicate with his Tarot Club members across great distances.
The assassin/instigator pathway. Klein finds the full sequence 9 and 8 information for Triss's path. Sequence 9, Assassin. Abilities include brief body transformation to become light as a feather, eagle-like vision, dexterity, and the ability to hide in shadows. Sequence 8, Instigator. Adept at triggering evil desires, causing contradictions, and inciting bloody massacres. Klein notes the advancement is illogical, assassin to instigator, similar to the seer path, but realizes the commonality. Both bring catastrophe to others. The Demonist Sect and Sequence Pathways. Klein asks Old Neil about the Demonist Sect, finding his security clearance too low to read the official files at Chanis Gate. Worship. They worship the primordial demoness, whom they believe is the true inheritor of the Creator, born out of chaos, and the ultimate ender. Membership. To approach the demoness, the upper echelons are all female, which is why they are called the Demonist Sect. Mission. Their mission is to spread catastrophes. Sequence 7 revelation. In a scene at the harbor, the black-robed woman confirms Triss's instigator mission was successful and hands him the Sequence 7 formula in a bronze book. The title written in Hermes is Witch. Triss is shocked to find his next advancement is gender-specific, confirming the sect's unusual structure. Secret organizations. Klein organizes the secret organizations from the documents into 3 eras. Era. Examples. Ancient, 4th Epoch, Moses Ascetic Order, Secret Order, Demonist Sect, Blood Sanctify Sect, Devil Followers. Early Current, 5th Epoch, Theosophy Order, Numinous Episcopate, Life School of Thought, Rose School of Thought. New, Recent Centuries, Aurora Order, Iron and Blood Cross Order, Element Dawn, Psychology Alchemists.
The Tarot Club Response System. That night, Klein locks his room and uses his ritual to enter the gray fog to test the new communication method. Miss Justice's ritual. Audrey. Observation. Klein sees the star symbolizing justice pulse and connects his spirituality to it. He hears the blurry, layered female voice of her prayer, which causes him irritation. He sees a blurry vision of Audrey performing the ritual in a white robe. The response. With a thought, Klein attempts to create a mental response, transmitting the words, "I'm aware." Audrey's reaction. Audrey wakes up, having seen a dream of the hazy figure above the fog repeating, "I'm aware." She is shocked at the immediate effect, but accepts the power of Mr. Fool. The Hanged Man's ritual. Alger. Observation. The star symbolizing the Hanged Man suddenly begins to pulse. Klein observes Alger performing the ritual while wearing a black robe in a locked hotel room in the city of Generosity, Rorstead Archipelago. The power clue. After the prayer, Alger uses a water-based spell to clean the altar, confirming he is at least a Sequence 7 seafarer, the Lord of Storm's path. The response. Before the scene vanishes, Klein transmits the response. Alger's reaction. Alger steps out into the corridor, convinced the ritual failed, when his vision blurs. He sees the gray fog and the figure on the high throne. The deep voice repeats, "I'm aware." Alger recovers, hiding his shock, and confirms the ritualistic magic works despite the immense distance. Klein accompanies Old Neil to the secret underground binder market at the Evil Dragon Bar, where they narrowly miss the instigator Triss. Klein buys materials for making amulets and encounters a binder with the spectator pathway and a young man with a unique sequence. The market and the fugitive. The scene. Klein and Old Neil head to the harbor and the Evil Dragon Bar. Klein notes the bar's doors are heavily guarded and sees a uniformed man on a rooftop opposite, holding a steam-pressured rifle connected to a large mechanical box, a military-controlled item. Instigator Triss. The brawny doorman explains that the bar was nearly destroyed because a wanted man named Triss, the instigator, was recognized while trying to buy materials. This situation confirms that Joyce Meyer's testimony led to Triss's immediate exposure. Triss, utilizing his Assassin Sequence 9 speed, escaped before the heavy weaponry arrived. The underground venue. Old Neil leads Klein through a secret door behind a billiard room into a large hall used as the market. The boss, Swain, is a former mandated Punisher captain, Folk of Rage Sequence 8, who takes a 5% cut of all profits and offers high-interest loans, usury. The monster encounter. While strolling through the stalls, Klein encounters an unusual young man. Adamisol, monster. A pale young man with a hint of craziness who is constantly mumbling. His high, possibly distorted spiritual perception causes an interaction with Klein's own senses. Revelation. Adamisol stares at Klein and laughs, sensing the smell of death, likely sensing Klein's status as a transmigrator, who possessed a dead body. He then tragically screams and bleeds from his eyes, which Klein notes is a result of his oversensitive spiritual perception. The sequence. Old Neil explains that Adamisol has a naturally high spiritual perception and is suited for the Sequence 9 monster potion, which is only controlled by the Life School of Thought's secret organization. The spectator clue. Klein sees a refined man in a black suit and spectacles shopping for ingredients. First sighting. The man inquires about cow teeth painol, one of the supplementary ingredients for the spectator potion, Audrey sequence. Klein uses his spiritual vision on the man, finds no danger, and dismisses it as a coincidence. Second sighting. As Klein is leaving, he overhears the same man inquiring about elf flowers, another key ingredient for the spectator potion. Klein realizes the man is likely a spectator beyonder, but, following Nighthawk's protocol, chooses not to interfere as the sequence poses little societal danger. Klein's purchase. Klein visits a stall selling homemade amulets, noting the craftsman's errors in incantations and symbols. He decides to buy 2 half-completed silver accessories to turn into real protective amulets for Benson and Melissa. The amulets. He buys an intricate silver accessory with angel-like feather patterns and a simple silver piece with a vertical line and a sekel, night and crimson moon symbol. The total cost is 10 soli and 3 pence. Amulet advice. A teenage girl asks for Klein's advice on buying an amulet. Klein advises her on the proper deity/planet correlation, Evernight Goddess, Moon/Silver, for averting misfortune, and Eternal Blazing Sun, Sun/Gold, or Earth Mother, Brown Planet/Lead. He helps her pick a gold amulet with a faint spiritual glow. The final encounter. After leaving the bar, Klein and Old Neil split up. As Klein disembarked his public carriage on Daffodil Street, a young lady wearing a grayish-white dress and black hair attempts to board. Suspicion. Klein notices the lady is shuddering slightly in an unnatural way. Action. Concerned, Klein activates his spirit vision to determine if she is suffering from an illness that needs medical attention. Klein misses a potential beyonder observation, but focuses on family matters before going to work. He is then immediately tasked with assisting the Nighthawks as the extremely dangerous sealed artifact 2049 arrives from Backland. An unnatural shudder. Missed opportunity. Klein activates his spirit vision to check on a young lady with an unnatural shudder attempting to board his carriage, but the carriage pulls away too quickly, and the overlapping auras of the passengers made it impossible to discern anything. Melissa's new dress. Klein returns home to find Melissa wearing her new frugal dress, 9 soli 5 pence, made by Mrs. Rochelle, but she tries to excuse it by saying she was going to wash it later. Benson reveals she rushed home to wear it, amusing Klein with her excuses for caring for her appearance. Triss's escape. Policeman Bitch Mountbatten visits to ask if they've seen instigator Triss, confirming the Nighthawk operation at the Evil Dragon Bar failed completely. Triss had escaped the encirclement near Iron Cross Street and evaporated. Dunn confirms that even Beyonder tracking methods, including a mystery prior, a senior Beyonder from the machinery hive mind, failed to locate him. Sealed Artifact 2049. Dunn takes Huang to Chana's Gate, explaining that 2049 has arrived and Klein's miraculous connection to the Antigonus family notebook will be needed for the operation. The protective action. Dunn instructs Klein to repeatedly bend and extend his arm without stopping, explaining that this ridiculous-looking action is essential to their safety. It allows others to immediately notice and save them if they are affected by the sealed artifact.
The sluggish phenomenon. As they approach the keeper's room, Klein is hit by a mysterious effect. His thoughts and movements turn sluggish, like a robot dance. Dunn pushes him, instantly restoring his normal state. The escort team. Inside, Klein meets the Nighthawks who escorted the artifact: Madame Lorata, Sequence 8 Gravedigger and Master Sharpshooter; Ayer Harson, a Nighthawk just like Dunn; and Borgia, a cold, observant Nighthawk. They are all performing the arm exercise. The nature of 2049. The chest. Ayer Harson retrieves a black metal chest engraved with stars and the crimson full moon, which holds the artifact. The berserk mode. The sealed artifact inside begins knocking violently. Thump, thump, thump. The force is strong enough to make the chest bulge. Dual attack. The knocking causes both Dunn and Klein to be simultaneously affected by the sluggish phenomenon, forcing Vormata and Borgia to save them. Ayer Harson confirms this means 2049 is in berserk mode, and Ray Bieber is indeed a descendant of the Antigonus family, as the artifact's agitation and abilities increase considerably near them.
The reveal. After arriving at Ray Bieber's sealed apartment, Ayer Harson releases the spiritual restraints on the chest. The lid creaks open, and a slender brown arm emerges. The artifact is revealed to be a wooden puppet about the size of a human palm. It is covered in an oil-stained brown cloth, and its face is painted with a red and yellow clown-like smile. The puppet, 2049, lifts its head and looks at Klein with pure black eyes. The Nighthawks use the powerful, sentient, sealed artifact 2049 to track Ray Bieber. They are ambushed by the Secret Order, leading to an intense exchange that ends with an agent of the Secret Order falling into the warehouse and encountering the great danger within. Tracking with the clown puppet 2049. The danger. Klein immediately suffers the sluggish phenomenon again upon seeing the clown-painted wooden puppet, confirming the danger is constant and impossible to guard against. Loretta dismissively calls the Grade 2 artifact relatively less dangerous. The compass. The puppet, 2049, walks slowly and laboriously, constantly adjusting its direction, acting as an effective, if awkward, compass pointing toward Ray Bieber, a descendant of the Antigonus family. Mitigation. The Nighthawks realize the artifact is only a slight nuisance as long as at least 3 people are present and vigilantly performing the arm-bending exercise to wake anyone who turns sluggish. Klein nicknames them the Nighthawk Awkward Dance Squad. The location. The puppet leads them at high speed to the innermost grayish-white warehouse at the harbor. The ambush and the illusionist. Before entering the dangerous warehouse, Klein performs a divination. 1. Warehouse danger. He divines there's danger in the warehouse, and the pendulum spins rapidly clockwise, indicating great danger. 2. Surrounding danger. He divines there is danger surrounding us. The pendulum first moved counterclockwise, denial, but then paused and moved clockwise, affirmation, signaling danger and that someone had just intercepted his divination and failed. The attack. Immediately, an orange-yellow fireball the size of a fist flies toward the group, forcing them to scatter, which would compromise their defense against 2049. Tactical withdrawal. Ayer Harson shouts for everyone to stay away from the chest. He throws it 10 meters away, where Leonard and Borgia stand guard. Dunn, Ayer, Nightmare, and Loretta, Gravedigger, form a crescent formation and rush the point of attack. The suited clown. A man in a black tuxedo and clown makeup appears. He is an agent of the Secret Order and likely an illusionist or similar beyonder. Combat exchange. Ayer Harson recites a peaceful poem when once the sun sinks in the west to influence the enemy, causing the clown to become serene and relaxed. Loretta, who is a Sequence 8 sharpshooter who prefers close combat, rushes the clown, but her target is an illusion that shatters. The clown then uses a finger gun to fire an illusionary gunshot at Loretta,
confusing her before using a real bullet that splatters mud in front of her. The enemy is adept at mixing reality and illusion. Loretta takes aim and forces the clown to dodge, but he manages to scale the stacked crates and continue firing air bullets. Klein realizes the clown is a distraction for a second figure, the Vanguard and the Horror. The second agent, Klein spots a second Secret Order agent in a grayish-white worker uniform and clown makeup running straight into the target warehouse from the roof of an adjacent building. A risky plan. Klein instinctively shoots and hits the runner, drawing blood, but he lets up on his aim. He realizes, since his divination confirmed great danger inside, the best strategy is to let the enemy enter first and serve as a vanguard, a human landmine. Leonard and Borgia also deliberately shoot inaccurately. The scream. As a runner crashes through the roof and falls inside, Loretta uses her power, likely from the Gravedigger sequence, to momentarily restrain the suited clown's ankle with an invisible hand. Donne then recites a second poem of calm and death. Thus it blooms on while night is by, to completely incapacitate the suited clown. The conclusion. Before Air Harson can deliver the final shot, a sound erupts from the warehouse. A blood-curdling, unimaginably terrifying wail of immense fear, likely from the Secret Order runner encountering the great danger. The scream abruptly cuts off, followed by a skin-crawling silence. The chapter ends with the silence being broken by loud, frantic panting from the warehouse, and 2049 in the chest begins ferociously thumping once again, now in a frenzied state.
The explosion of a Secret Order agent inside the warehouse reveals the terrifying, monstrous state of Ray Bieber. The resulting chaos injures all the Nighthawks, allowing a hidden Secret Order clown to attempt to manipulate the only conscious person left, Klein. The monster and the aftermath. The second clown escapes. The suited clown breaks Loretta's invisible shackles by lashing his ankle with a fiery whip, a paper slip igniting into a black fire, and flees. He transfers the bullet wound from his abdomen to his arm using an unknown Secret Order Beyonder power as he escapes. Ray Bieber's state. The warehouse door explodes, and the remains of the Secret Order runner are ejected, severed limbs, blood, a beating heart, and intestines. The monster. A grayish-white, 2-meter-tall humanoid creature emerges, its joints unnaturally twisted, white bones protruding, and its skin resembling a stripped, brain-like surface. This is Monster Bieber, a Beyonder who has undergone loss of control due to the notebook. Combat. Normal bullets, even Leonard's demon-hunting bullet to the head, are ineffective. Ayur and Leonard attempt to use their midnight poet songs to induce slumber, but Monster Bieber resists and emits a shrill, painful scream that injures all 6 Beyonders, causing bleeding from eyes, nose, and mouth. Monster Bieber targets the black chest containing 2049. Ayur shoots the chest away, giving Loretta time to act. The weakness. Loretta, Gravedigger, uses her power to search for a node or weakness. She rushes in, ignores the monster's corrosive liquid, and uses a specialized move to punch deep into Monster Bieber's crotch, pulling out an intestine containing the Antigonus family notebook. The explosion. Monster Bieber lets out a blood-curdling scream, swells up, and explodes into a pile of rotting flesh. The Nighthawks down. The shockwave knocks out Donne and Loretta and heavily injures Ayur, Borgia, and Leonard, leaving them struggling and unable to move. Klein's self-rescue and counterattack. The blast throws the black chest containing 2049 near Klein, who, still conscious but weakened, is hit by the puppet's sluggish phenomenon for the 3rd time. Self-preservation.
Knowing his comrades are down, Klein frantically attempts self-rescue, realizing he needs an external force to break the control. The ritual. He takes 4 counterclockwise steps while internally reciting the line from his luck-enhancing ritual in Hermes. The immortal Lord of heaven and earth for blessings, the celestial worthy. Ascension. Just as he is about to be fully controlled and his thoughts turn rigid, his spirituality lifts him. He successfully uses the mysterious world above the gray fog to ascend and escape the puppet's control. Divination. Above the fog, he divines, returning to the real world is very safe, which proves affirmative. He realizes that 2049 will not repeatedly influence the same person immediately, giving him a brief window of safety. The voice. After returning to his body, which is in a perfectly frozen puppet state, he hears a voice concealed in the wind, the suited clown who had returned to fish in troubled waters. The clown promises to awaken him and offer him the secret 8 potion formula for seer if Klein retrieves the Antigonus family notebook. The clown reveals the secret 8 is clown.
Klein's analysis. Seer's instinct. Klein quickly analyzes the clown's motives. The clown divined hope that they would be defeated, is using Klein as cannon fodder to probe for traps, and does not believe Klein can escape the puppet's control. Klein dismisses the promises, knowing the clown will betray him. The decisive move. Klein uses his ability to slightly move his neck to nod agreement. The clown, trusting the nod, reveals himself and approaches with a long paper slip, acting as a pole, to prod Klein awake from 2 to 3 meters away. The trap. As the pole is about to touch him, Klein's rigid body suddenly snaps out of stasis. He grabs the pole and yanks the clown forward, while simultaneously firing his revolver twice at the floor, near the 2049 chest behind the clown. Victory. The clown instinctively rolls away, landing inside the 5-meter effective range of 2049. The suited clown is immediately hit by the sluggish phenomenon, stopping him dead. Klein, now out of range, aims his revolver calmly at the immobilized target. Klein executes his plan, dispatching the secret order agent, and helps the injured Nighthawks recover. The mission is deemed a complete success, leading to Klein's formal application to become a Nighthawk. The showdown concludes. The kill. Klein, now free from the puppet's control, shoots the immobile suited clown twice. The first silver bullet pierces the clown's neck, and the second hits his forehead, killing him instantly. Controlling the scene. Klein calmly reloads and approaches the injured Iyer Harson. He did not look back at the corpse, acknowledging his discomfort with his first kill, but was satisfied he had removed a threat without risking re-entry into 2049's range. The rescue. Iyer tells Klein to sign the restorative medicine Goddess's Gaze on Borgia. This medicine stimulates the mind and squeezes out potential, allowing them to maintain a decent state until they can receive proper treatment. Klein successfully retrieves the bottle, administers half to Borgia, and then the remaining half to Iyer. Borgia and Iyer quickly recover their strength. Leonard's secret. Klein attempts to help Leonard, but Leonard reveals he can take the medicine himself and is lighter than expected. Leonard then walks past Klein and says with a subtle smile, "I actually wanted to save you, but discovered that you didn't need it. There are many special people in this world that can always do things others can't, such as you and me." Klein realizes Leonard had recovered quickly enough to observe his entire self-rescue and attack, suggesting Leonard is also hiding secrets. Mission aftermath and loot. Securing the artifacts. The Nighthawks, now recovered, secure the Antigonus family notebook retrieved by Loretta and seal the puppet 2049 back in its black chest. The clown's remains.
Searching the suited clown's corpse yields a wallet with over 70 pounds, but no helpful clues or the promised clown potion formula. The monster's remains. The team searches Monster Bieber's remains for extraordinary materials. Dunn explains that since Ray Bieber lost control before fully absorbing the Beyonder power, a part of his body would retain the characteristic as a prime material. Borgia finds a fist-sized, grayish-white, brain-like mass, the Beyonder material, which Dunn stores in a tin case. Dunn's explanation. Dunn confirms that Ray Bieber was performing a dangerous ancient ritual to absorb the power from the notebook, which required isolation and deep sleep. They woke him prematurely, causing him to lose control and become a monster. Formal recruitment. During the return carriage ride, Dunn addresses Klein. The offer. Dunn confirms that since Ray Bieber was identified as an Antigonus descendant, the promise holds. Klein's performance was outstanding, including personally killing a member of an evil organization. The position. Klein is formally offered a position as a Nighthawk. Title: Probationary Inspector and Nighthawk member. Salary: £6 a week. Duties: Support type Beyonder, required to guard Chaunis Gate once a week. Constraints: must not leave Tingen without permission and must keep the job secret from his family. Klein accepts, motivated by his goals of gaining knowledge to find a way home and strengthening himself to more safely use the mysterious space above the gray fog. The interrogation. The lie. Ayer Harson asks how Klein, as a Sequence 9, managed to defeat the powerful suited clown. Klein, having prepared, explains his actions by weaving his self-rescue, using true information about the clown's offer and the risk involved, with a major lie. He pretended to be under 2049's control, which caused the clown to make a fatal misjudgment that he was safely outside the 5-meter range. The truth revealed. He clarified that he only grabbed the clown's paperslip and pulled him into 2049's effective range, effectively making him a stationary target. The revelation. Klein confirms the clown's information. The next sequence of Seer is Clown. Dunn is surprised by this odd revelation.
The Nighthawks recover from their battle wounds and wrap up the successful mission. Klein is given official status, but is instantly thrown into a terrifying experience that reveals a crucial word connected to his original Klein's death, Hornasis. The sequence pathway and the circus. Seer, Clown? Ayer Harson and Lorata are baffled by the sequence pathway link between Seer and Clown. Ayer argues that while other sequences lack similarities, they at least have common ground, but Seer and Clown seem entirely unrelated. Klein's joke. Klein quips that the common point is that both can be found at the circus. This amuses them and breaks the tension. The self-deprecation. Klein internally worries that the rest of the pathway might include beast tamer, acrobat, or magician, making him a one-man circus. The aftermath at Blackthorn. Handling the scene, Klein is instructed to help escort the recovered artifacts, 2049, the Antigonus notebook, and Monster Bieber's remains to the underground Chaunis Gate. Post-mission orders. Dunn sends Sleepless Royale and corpse collector Fry to the Tyrell warehouse at the harbor to aid Leonard in dealing with the bodies and the scene. Healing. Dunn sends Klein to get Old Neil for a ritualistic magic healing, as ordinary restorative medicines like Goddess's Gaze lose efficacy rapidly and only extraordinary ingredients provide permanent healing. Reimbursement and rest. Dunn promises Klein that his damaged suit will be reimbursed, and he is dismissed for the afternoon to rest due to the physical and mental toll of the mission. Klein internally decides to use the reimbursement to buy a new suit and considers getting a cheaper black trench coat for future combat. Final instructions. Dunn reveals that Leonard Mitchell is handling the follow-up investigation with the police, using a sketch of the deceased secret order Beyonder, the suited clown, to trace his movements. Roselle's maxim, Whatever he steps, whatever he touches, will serve as a silent witness. The corpse and the horrific whisper. Trauma cured, new trauma gained. Klein decides to confront his discomfort with killing by visiting Fry's room, a new secret autopsy room he had never seen before, to see the clown's corpse. Fry, whose dream was to be an artist, sketches a portrait of the deceased for Captain Dunn. Fry suggests looking at the body will help Klein overcome his trauma. The resurrection. When Fry leaves, Klein approaches the corpse, which had been cleaned, to examine a strange brand on the wrist. As his fingers touch the corpse, 1. The corpse's pale, cold hand shoots up and grabs Klein's wrist. 2. Klein panics and pulls back, causing the entire corpse to fall to the stone floor. 3. The corpse's eyes open, revealing a pair of calm, blue eyes. 4. The corpse whispers 3 words, Hornacis, Hornacis, Hornacis. The aftermath. The grip loosens, the eyes shut, and the corpse returns to stillness. Klein staggers back, seeing 5 deep red finger marks on his wrist. He realizes the brand on the wrist is gone, replaced by a thumb-sized spherical blob of blue-tinted blood floating in midair. Hornacis connection. Klein is highly unnerved, but focuses on the word Hornacis. He links it to the Antigonus notebook's mention of a nation of the Evernight in the Hornacis mountain range. He suspects that an evil god might be sealed there, using attraction, like the murmurs he hears during cogitation, to achieve freedom. Ending the day. Klein reports the incident and the word Hornacis to Dunn, who promises to report it to the Holy Cathedral. Klein goes home, realizes his initial trauma is gone, but replaced by a new one from the resurrection, and finally falls asleep. He wakes up, hungry, to find Melissa home from school with a letter from his mentor, presumably about the history of the Hornacis main peak. After a terrifying mission, Klein finds a semblance of peace at home and immediately dives into researching the word whispered by the dead Secret Order agent, Hornacis. Mentor's letter and Hornacis clues. The historian's clues. Klein reads the letter from his mentor, who suggests an archaeologist named Mr. John Joseph published a monograph on the Hornacis main peak's relics, detailing ancient buildings and a distinct civilization on the tall mountain. The monograph. The title is Research of the Hornacis main peak's relics, published by the Lotm publishing firm. The letter also points him toward relevant papers in journals like New Archaeology and Archaeology Summary. Family life. Klein uses the opportunity to give Melissa extra allowance under the guise of buying tools, showcasing his improving persuasion skills. He accepts an invitation to attend his sister's friend Selena's birthday banquet that Sunday with Benson. The Nighthawks and the formal position. Artifact's departure. The Holy Cathedral quickly replies to Dunn's telegram. Ayer Harson, Loretta, and company have been instructed to immediately escort sealed artifact 2049 and the Antigonus family's notebook back to Backland, the capital. Formal status imminent. Dunn tells Klein his application to become an official member will take another 2 to 3 days for approval. Roseanne's complaint. Roseanne complains about the lack of staff and jokingly suggests Klein marry and accidentally expose the secret of Beyonders to his wife so she can be hired as a civilian staff member to help with armory duty. Old Neil's revelation. Old Neil informs Klein that once his application is approved, he must still undergo a ritual, completing a mission independently to gain the acknowledgement of the other Nighthawks. He reassures Klein this won't affect his official Nighthawk salary or privileges. Mystery prior to Melee Scholar. To address Klein's curiosity about the seer to clown link, Old Neil reveals the sequence 8 from Mystery Prior, a sequence from the Machinery Hive Mind, is Melee Scholar, noting the bizarre lack of obvious connection, but confirming the trend of surprising sequence names. Klein continues his research at the Deweyville Library and encounters a high-profile figure just as he is about to practice his divination skills. The first divination client. Bogda's illness.
Klein's acquaintance Anna, who previously sought his divination services concerning her fiancé Joyce Meyer, attends a banquet. There, their friend Bogda reveals he has a serious, possibly fatal liver illness requiring surgery, which he fears. The recommendation: Anna convinces Bogda to seek a divination about the surgery's success. She wholeheartedly recommends Klein, recounting how his divination accurately predicted Joyce's return. The referral: Bogda is convinced and asks for the seer's name and address. Klein Moretti, at the Divination Club on House Street. Klein has unknowingly received his first client referral. Research and encounter. Library visit. Klein uses his borrowing pass at the Deweyville Library to search for the monograph. It is not in the collection, but the librarian has the journals New Archaeology and Archaeology Summary. The relics. Reading the journal papers, Klein learns that the ancient relics, lofty domes, gigantic stone columns surrounding the Hornassus main peak, become larger the closer they are to the summit. Mysteriously, there are no ruins on the peak itself, leading to the hypothesis that there should be palaces that don't resemble man-made buildings, divine halls used for sacrifices. Klein connects this to the majestic palace he sees above the gray fog. Sir Deweyville. As Klein is reading, he sees the library owner and famous philanthropist, Sir Deweyville, walking past with his butler. The divination. Klein, curious, raises his hand and taps his glabella twice to activate his spirit vision. Klein returns to the Divination Club and immediately lands his first client referral, proving his abilities to an organization member and directing the client toward a mysterious beyond a remedy. Hornassus research and Sir Deweyville. Spirit vision. Klein uses spirit vision on the philanthropist Sir Deweyville. He sees that Deweyville is physically healthy, but his emotional state is frail and fraught with frailty, though his mental aura, purple, is fine. Klein concludes that being a tycoon sure isn't easy. The first client, Bogda Jones. The request. Bogda, having been referred by Anna, arrives at the Divination Club seeking Klein, who is not scheduled to be there. Bogda insists on waiting. The diagnosis. When Klein arrives, he is surprised to see a client who asked for him. Using his spirit vision, Klein immediately sees Bogda's liver is dim and nearly black. He advised, "Sir, you should see a doctor and not seek a divination," which confirms his authenticity to Bogda. The fee. Klein accepts the divination, charging only 8 pence, explaining his low fee is a way to maintain our humility and suppress our greed to continue receiving divine revelations. Bogda is deeply impressed by his sincerity. The divination. Klein performs a tarot divination using the Intis formation. He flips the final result card, a reversed wheel of fortune, indicating things will develop badly, i.e., Bogda will likely die during surgery. The dream divination. Klein confirms the negative outcome with a dream divination, seeing Bogda's corpse pushed out of the operating room. The referral. Klein recalls the miraculous healing of Mr. Glass's lung disease by an apothecary. He gives Bogda hope by referring him to Lawson Darkwaite's folk herb store at 18 Vlad Street in East Borough. Bogda's journey to the apothecary. The purchase. Bogda finds the store and the owner, Lawson, who immediately diagnoses his severe liver disease and sets a price of £10 for a bag of herbs to be boiled 3 times with fresh rooster blood. The owner offers to sell him mummy powder for a bonus tonic, which disgusts Bogda and makes him deeply suspicious of Klein and the referral. The departure. The apothecary boss, pleased with his 16th customer resulting from his fame, decides to temporarily stop selling herbs to avoid being noticed by the Nighthawks or the machinery hive mine. The miracle. Bogda drinks the first dose, which tastes foul, like blood and stinking socks, and gives him an upset stomach. The next morning, he wakes up feeling spirited and discovers the pain in his abdomen is gone, confirming the medicine was effective despite its shady appearance. Klein's promotion and crafting. Amulet creation. Klein uses his private office to carve amulets for Benson and Melissa. He uses silver accessories and carves incantations to avoid misfortune in Hermes, mysticism symbols for the Evernight goddess and the Empress of Misfortune and Horror, and the path number 7. He successfully completes the amulets, noting they will be effective for about a year. Official Nighthawk. Captain Dunn arrives and informs Klein that the Holy Cathedral has approved his application. Klein is now an official Nighthawk member and will receive a makeup pay of £3 immediately. The final ritual. Dunn confirms the final ritual. Klein must independently complete a mission to gain the full recognition of the other Nighthawks. Klein happily accepts, realizing he now has enough money, £3 plus a £7 compensation, to buy a new suit. On Sunday, before attending Selena's birthday banquet, Klein gently insists that Benson wear his new tuxedo, the reimbursed one, realizing that Melissa is trying to encourage Benson to find a romantic connection at the social event.
Klein attends Selena Wood's birthday banquet, ensuring his siblings are properly dressed and subtly protected by the amulets he created. The amulets. Melissa's gift. Klein gives Melissa her amulet, wrapped with angel wings, as a necklace to accentuate that area, successfully distracting her from questioning his changed behavior. He falsely claims it was an incomplete item he finished carving with blessing incantations and beautiful patterns. Melissa only likes the angel feathers, but wears it. Benson's gift. Klein also gives Benson his amulet, who accepts it easily, joking about Klein's unpredictable new skills. Family socializing. The three siblings take a public carriage to the North Borough's Fania Street for the buffet-style banquet at the Wood family's terrace house. The encounter with Elizabeth. Familiar face. Klein is stunned to see one of the guests is Elizabeth, the girl he helped choose an amulet for at the Underground Market, Chapter 65. He realizes Elizabeth bought the amulet as a birthday gift for Selena. The mysticism enthusiast. Elizabeth whispers her thanks, saying Selena felt healthier the moment she wore it, confirming the amulet's subtle protective effect. Klein tries to explain it as a placebo effect, but Elizabeth insists it's different from other amulets she's bought. A dangerous hobby. Klein discovers that Selena is a mysticism enthusiast and is the recipient of his amulet. While at the banquet, Klein detects a supernatural disturbance and prepares to intervene in a dangerous situation involving a magic mirror. The detection. Spiritual perception. As Klein heads to the bathroom, his spiritual perception alerts him to a strange fluctuation upstairs. Spirit dousing. Fearing for Melissa's safety, he goes upstairs and uses spirit dousing with his silver chain and topaz pendant. The rapid clockwise rotation confirms there is danger caused by the supernatural inside the room. Spirit vision clue. Peeking with his spirit vision, Klein sees that the aura of one girl is being rippled with a sinister dark green color that is slowly corroding inwards. The magic mirror. The situation. Klein knocks and finds Melissa, who explains they are playing magic mirror divination with Selena. Klein sees in his spirit vision that Selena, holding a silver-coated mirror, is the one being encroached upon by the dark green color. The deception. Klein fakes a reason to speak to Elizabeth about Fay-Sac grammar, a weak cover, and steps back. Elizabeth's confirmation. Klein tells Elizabeth, who is now nervous but calm, that the magic mirror divination has a problem. He instructs her to sneak a look at the mirror's front, which Selena is hiding. Elizabeth returns terrified, confirming that she only saw a devil-like Selena filling the entirely pitch-black mirror. Preparing the ritual. Finding the solution. Klein realizes that the Blackthorn team is too far away. He needs an immediate intervention. He correctly deduces that as a mysticism enthusiast, Selena's bedroom will contain the necessary extracts, essential oils, herbs, and candles. The altar. Elizabeth points out Selena's unlocked bedroom. Klein quickly sets up a makeshift altar on a desk. Placing 2 faint candles on the upper left and right corners to represent the Lady of Crimson and the Empress of Misfortune in horror, the Evernight goddess. The plan. Klein plans to perform a suspension-style ritualistic magic to borrow the Evernight goddess's power to ward off the unknown existence. He instructs Elizabeth to return and, in 5 minutes, tell Selena she has a surprise and lure her back to the ritual room, with a special knock. 1 long knock and 2 short ones for him to execute the sealing.
Klein executes a complex, dangerous ritual to expel the evil entity corrupting Selena, showcasing his growing mastery of mysticism. Ritual preparation. Suspension magic. Klein utilizes suspension-style ritualistic magic, which allows him to pause the ritual while waiting for the target, Selena. Altar setup. He sets up the altar in Selena's bedroom. 3 candles, one for the Lady of Crimson, one for the Empress of Misfortune and Horror, and one for himself. A silver bowl, a plate of salt, a silver dagger, and various herbs and oils. The invocation. Klein successfully lights the 3 candles using his spirituality and performs the purification ritual. He then seals the room with an invisible spirituality wall using his silver dagger. The prayer. Klein recites the incantation, formally praying to the Evernight goddess for the power of the Crimson and Misfortune and Horror to cleanse Selena. He concludes the suspension phase by praying for the goddess to wait for a moment for that unfortunate girl. The exorcism. Luring to target. Elizabeth, terrified but committed, leads a confused Selena to the bedroom door and uses the prearranged knock, 1 long, 2 short ones. Klein immediately pulls Selena inside, seals the door behind them with his silver dagger, and insulates the room. Selena's expression turns cold, her skin mottles, and her fingernails grow sharp. The climax. Klein quickly returns to cogitation, adds oils to the candles, and finishes the ritual by burning the fake goat skin, representing the request, Selena, in the silver bowl. An immense energy assaults him, and he dodges a lethal strike. The result. The burning goat skin attracts wisps of dark green gases which plunge into the bowl and vanish. Selena falls unconscious to the ground. The silver-coated mirror shatters, and her wicked dark green aura vanishes completely. The aftermath. Backlash. Klein is immediately hit with a sharp, throbbing headache and surge of pain, nearly losing control of his Beyonder powers, spirituality overdraft. He credits his increased digestion of the seer potion from acting for his survival. Cleanup. He praises the lady, extinguishes the candles, tidies the altar, and dispels the spirituality seal. Damage control. He checks his clothes, noting thankfully that the carpet protected them during his role. The exhortation. Selena's condition. Klein assures Elizabeth that Selena is fine, but will be weak for 2 to 3 days. The perpetrator. Klein sternly asks Elizabeth who taught Selena mysticism, learning it was Hannes Vincent from the Divination Club. Klein regrets not having reported Vincent earlier.
The incantation. Elizabeth recalls fragments of the incantation Selena used: revolve, spirit, creator, and grace. This points to a potential connection with the true creator, an ancient entity revered by secret organizations. The warning. Klein gives Elizabeth a dire warning. Do not pray to any other entities other than the 7 Orthodox divinities. He confirms that if he hadn't intervened, Selena would have become a monster or evil spirit in 10 minutes, killing everyone present, including himself. Confirming safety and next steps. Cover story. Klein tells Elizabeth to inform Selena that she fainted and shattered her mirror, and that her memory of the ritual is likely gone. Selena's reaction. When Elizabeth rouses Selena, Selena's eyes are dull, and she cannot remember anything past the start of the divination, confirming Klein's prediction. She is scared into promising Elizabeth she will never try dark mysticism again. The full incantation. Feigning nonchalance, Elizabeth asks Selena for the full incantation to give to the mysticism expert. Selena replies, "Spirit that revolves this world, the grace of the true creator, the eyes that look at fate." Final check. Klein performs a simplification of dream divination using a coin toss, heads for affirmation, to confirm that Selena is all right now, and the coin lands on George III's face, heads. The end of the banquet. Klein wins a modest 6 pence at poker. On the way out, he discreetly obtains the complete incantation from Elizabeth and invents an excuse to head to Zoutelan Street, planning to report the situation at the Blackthorn Security Company immediately. Klein reports the incident with Selena to Captain Dunn, learns about a sinister development in the Hannes Vincent case, and gets assigned his first solo mission. The alibi. Benson and Melissa.
To explain his sudden stop at Zoutelen Street, Klein claims he needed to amend a document description at the company to avoid waking up early the next day. Benson accepts this, but Melissa remains suspicious, having observed his and Elizabeth's strange behavior all night. The carriage ride. Klein and Benson discuss the extravagance of the middle class, specifically the Wood family's need to appear respectable. Klein confronts Melissa. After arriving home, Klein goes to Melissa's room and asks her directly. He explains his interaction with Elizabeth as a normal academic discussion about Hermes, the ancient language of worship, which is within a historian's domain. The directed conclusion. Klein then plants the idea that Selena's magic mirror divination involved evil entities, and that Elizabeth, after confirming the words with him, took the opportunity to criticize and correct Selena's mistake. Melissa, a logical thinker, accepts this deduction. Klein cautions her to keep this a secret and advise Selena to stick to orthodox beliefs. Hanas Vincent's death. Report. At the Blackthorn Security Company, Klein reports the Selena incident and recommends investigating Hanas Vincent. Initiation mission. Leonard casually informs Klein that he already has an initiation mission assigned for the next day, which Dunn confirms is nothing dangerous. Dunn's account. Dunn looks pale and reveals the chilling conclusion of the Hanas Vincent investigation. Vincent is dead. Dunn had entered Vincent's dream to look for clues and saw a horrific vision. I saw a cross, a huge cross, one that blotted out the sky. On the huge cross, there was a naked man nailed to it with black nails. His arms and legs were pinned with his arms extended outwards. He was hung upside down, his head hung low like a chandelier. There was strips of bloodstains on his body. The aftermath. Dunn lost consciousness, and when he woke, Vincent had died in his sleep. Klein deduces the vision is similar to some true creator stories, but with considerable differences. Klein learns the details of his initiation mission involving the powerful Sir Deweyville and immediately finds a spiritual clue upon entering the target area. The assignment. The client. Klein's mission is to investigate the harassment of Sir Deweyville, the wealthy philanthropist and prominent member of Tingen society. The police referred the case due to suspicion of Beyonder involvement. The harassment. For over a month, Sir Deweyville have been hearing painful, skin-numbing moans and cries every night, affecting his sleep. The sound is softer for his servants, confirming it is not a hallucination. The sounds persist even when Deweyville travels, suggesting the problem is attached to him. The uniform. Dunn orders Klein to change into his probationary inspector uniform as an official member perk, since half the Nighthawk's salary comes from the police department. Klein receives the black and white uniform with the police badge and a shimmering silver star epithet, bearing the number 06254. Investigation. Briefing. Klein meets the uniformed Inspector Tolle, 2 silver stars, at the shooting club. Tolle briefs him on Sir Deweyville's immense wealth, vast business empire, philanthropy, and goal of becoming a member of parliament in Backlund. Location. They travel to Deweyville's large 2-story house in the Golden Indusborough. Klein reviews the possibilities: a curse, ruled out by servants hearing the sound, a beyonder among the staff, ruled out by the lack of a request, or contact with a vengeful evil spirit. The target. They find Sir Deweyville in the hall, looking physically aged and in low spirits. Klein activates his spirit vision, but finds no unusual auras on the man himself. The clue. Klein requests to see the bedroom where the moans first began, insisting that Sir Deweyville accompany them. As they enter the master bedroom on the 2nd floor, Klein's spiritual perception reacts violently. The hair on his body stood on their ends. Klein enters Sir Deweyville's bedroom, immediately detecting a supernatural presence, and uses dream divination to uncover the source of the haunting. Spiritual observations. The bedroom. Upon entering Deweyville's massive bedroom, Klein's spiritual perception registers the room as dimmer and colder. He hears faint sobbing and moaning, which quickly dissipates, suggesting the entity is not a standard wraith or evil spirit. The reflection. Looking at a mirror, Klein sees a faint white distorted human figure, or many overlapping figures, reflected behind Sir Deweyville, accompanied by faint sobbing. The haunting. Klein realizes that the haunting is attached to Sir Deweyville. The philanthropist has a faint and twisted figure shimmering around him, which is what others hear as moans and cries, albeit softly. Initial conclusion. Klein deduces this is resentment haunting Sir Deweyville, the remnant spirituality from unresolved emotions before death. He also notes the haunting coincides with the traits of gradual entanglement and accumulation, as the sounds resume and worsen after temporary peace following a change of location.
Dream divination and discovery. The rationale. To solve the problem without revealing beyonder powers, Klein feigns a psychological illness diagnosis and asks everyone to leave. He has Deweyville lie down and relax. The technique, Klein then uses dream divination, entering a deep sleep to let his astral projection communicate with the resentment. The visions. Klein is swarmed by translucent figures and experiences a series of mirror views showing the tragic lives and deaths of young female workers. Lead poisoning. He sees girls like Charlotte, Mary, and Lafayette working in the lead factory, suffering from headaches, blurry vision, blue gum lines, twitches, epilepsy, and eventually dying from lead poisoning due to long-term exposure to dust. The catalyst, Haley Walker. Klein witnesses the story of Haley Walker, a 17-year-old worker who continued glazing porcelain despite her severe headaches to support her recently unemployed father and brother. She hid her worsening condition from her supervisor and ultimately died from a massive convulsion on the street, passing a carriage bearing the Deweyville family emblem in her final, silent moments. Final deduction. The sheer volume of death resentment from the female workers who suffered due to the unsanitary conditions of Deweyville's lead and porcelain factories would normally be insignificant. However, the resentment became powerful and united, triggered by the stubborn, silent resentment of Haley Walker. Klein proposes an emotional and financial solution to resolve the resentment, which Sir Deweyville promptly executes. The confession and rationale. The accusation. Klein gently confronts Deweyville, asking if he knows about lead poisoning and its dangers. Deweyville admits the haunting stems from his guilt toward the factory workers. Deweyville's defense. Deweyville defends his actions, claiming he pays his workers $10 solely a week, more than the industry standard, informs supervisors to remove severely ill workers, and supports them through his charity foundation. He argues that installing dust protection equipment would make his costs too high to compete. The trigger. Klein reveals the specific trigger was Haley Walker's death, which Deweyville faintly remembers witnessing from his carriage. The prescribed cure. Klein prescribes a two-part solution. 1. Compensation. Find Haley Walker's parents and give them more compensation. 2. Public action. Spread information about the dangers of lead through his charity, and push for safety laws if he achieves Parliament, though Deweyville is skeptical of the legal feasibility. Resolution and mass hysteria. The compensation. Deweyville immediately sends the butler, Cullen, to retrieve Haley's parents. They arrive looking haggard, confirming Haley's brother was injured and they were living in extreme poverty. The payout. Deweyville compensates them £300, stunning the parents and the other staff present. The vanishing. As Haley's grateful parents, hugging the money sack, walk out with renewed smiles, the faint, translucent figure behind Sir Deweyville attempts to reach out to them, but turns faint and vanishes completely. The icy feeling in the hall instantly returns to normal. The final question. Deweyville, now relieved, asks why his staff also heard the moans and cries, proving the problem wasn't solely a psychological illness. The final answer. Klein replies with a straight face. In psychology, we call this phenomenon mass hysteria. The official diagnosis.
Mass hysteria. To explain why the staff also heard the moans and cries, Klein uses the term mass hysteria, describing it as a psychogenic illness where individuals influence each other due to tense nerves. The example. He cites a fabricated case of a dinner banquet where one guest's stomach inflammation, mistaken for food poisoning, led over 30 other guests to experience nausea and diarrhea, despite none of them actually being sick. Deweyville's relief. Sir Deweyville is deeply impressed, calling Klein the most professional psychiatrist he has ever met. Klein allows him to go upstairs and sleep, concluding his first solo mission. The official report. Dunn's reaction. Back at the Blackthorn Security Company, Klein succinctly reports the cause: the accumulated resentful spirituality from lead poisoning deaths in Deweyville's factories, specifically triggered by Haley Walker's death and subsequent emotional turmoil. The problem was resolved by the 300 pounds compensation to Haley's family, which dissipated the intense indignation. Societal problem. Dunn sighs, acknowledging this is a common problem in the age of steam and machinery, but is optimistic it will be resolved as the kingdom develops. The rescue. Klein informs Dunn about the large compensation. Recognizing the danger this sudden wealth poses to a poor family, Dunn promises to arrange for Haley's family, the Walkers, to leave Tingen and start a new life elsewhere. Break in planning. Klein declines a celebration dinner, claiming exhausted from extended spirit vision and dream divination. He plans to rest, reorganize his thoughts, and then visit the Divination Club to gauge the reaction to Hannes Vincent's death. The Tarot Club resumes. Preparation. 5 minutes before 3 p.m., Klein uses the summoning ritual above the gray fog, tapping the stars representing Justice and the Hanged Man. Justice, Audrey. She is seen joking with her dog, Susie, about how strange it would be for Susie, a spectator in training, to join the tarot gathering. The Hanged Man, Alger. He is on a ship in the Sonia Sea, drinking liquor to calm his nerves before the highly anticipated gathering. The gathering begins. Greetings. Audrey and Alger greet the fool and congratulate him on his successful ritual, referring to the suspension magic. Communication. Klein sets a new rule. Members unable to attend can still conduct a ritual and inform him by changing the incantation line, "I pray for a good dream," to the reason for their absence. Emperor Roselle's diary. Audrey provides the newest diary page, revealing explosive information. Date. Content or revelation. July 9th. Roselle questions why the sequence pathways are called the blessings of the divinities, but the slate recording them is called the blasphemy slate. July 12th. Roselle notes the god of craftsmanship, his current patron, has the fewest and least dangerous sealed artifacts, but he sees his organization as a blank piece of paper ripe for his ability display. July 14th. Mr. Zeratul, a highly powerful, mysterious beyonder, is confirmed to be the leader of the secret order. July 14th. Zeratul is a sequence 9 seer and wants Roselle to steal an Antigonus family relic, a dangerous sealed artifact from the Church of the God of Craftsmanship. July 14th. Zeratul informs Roselle that using the acting method, low sequence potions can be digested in half a year and possibly as fast as a month. Digestion is complete when the beyonder senses it immediately.
Discussion and new revelation. Discussion and new revelation. Spectator advancement. Audrey asks where to find the psychology alchemists. Alger advises her to focus on digesting her potion first. The acting method. Using the diary's contents, Klein, the fool, speaks up, confirming Zaratul's claims. Low-sequence potions can be digested in half a year, or even a month, by strictly adhering to the acting method, and the signs of completion are intuitive. This information is priceless to Audrey and Alger. Future membership. Klein confirms that to ensure secrecy, future members must undergo a process of observation, recommendation, and testing. The true creator. Alger probes Klein's views on the true creator, the ancient entity worshipped by secret cults, often depicted as the hanged giant or eye behind the shadow curtains. Alger notes that the hanged man tarot card is believed to reference this imagery. The Fool's Judgment. Klein links this imagery to the bloody, upside-down man Dunn saw in Hannes Vincent's dream. He chuckles and provides his verdict. I am more inclined to call him the fallen creator. Fallen creator and secret organizations. The fallen creator. Alger agrees with the Fool's term, noting that followers of this entity have a high probability of losing control or becoming psychopaths, ideologies becoming twisted. Miss Justice's query. Audrey, acting as Klein's Smurf account, asks for detailed information on all mysterious organizations and cults willing to pay £1,000 or equivalent gemstones. Alger accepts the payment, giving an address at the Warrior and Sea Bar in Pritz Harbor. The Moses Ascetic Order. Origin. The order was founded by humans who read the blasphemy slate and believed in a non-anthropomorphic god called the Hidden Sage, an embodiment of spirit numerology, or knowledge itself. Beliefs. They were originally respectable, led ascetic lives to resist losing control from the remnant potion effects, and believed in reincarnation. Their sequence 9 is mystery prior. The Fall. Alger reveals the chilling reason for their corruption. The hidden sage came to life and became the personification of an evil god. The Secret Order's focus. Alger outlines other groups. Demonist sect, originally known as the Demonist family, an all-female bloodline organization. Numinous Episcopate and Rose School of Thought, originated in the southern continent. Psychology alchemists. Similar to the early Moses ascetic order, they believe the human spirit can change everything. Secret Order has the lowest activity level and is the most unknown, always after something or looking for something. Klein's deduction. Combining Alger's observations with Roselle's diary, where Zaratal was after an Antigonus family relic, Klein concludes the Secret Order's core objective is to find the things the Antigonus family left behind. A new supplicant. After ending the meeting, Klein attempts to conjure a Smurf account figure, a clumsy, dull-looking man in a black tuxedo, but dismisses the attempt. He then attempts to pray to the illusory crimson stars and discovers a faint and insignificant prayer deep inside one of them. The vision. Klein uses his spirituality to spy on the source, a blonde teenager kneeling, facing a pure crystal ball. The teen is dressed in tight-fitting black clothing, distinct from Lowenstiles, and speaks an unfamiliar language, similar to ancient Fasak, possibly ancient Jotun, the language of the giants. Klein decides to monitor the supplicant before pulling him up to the gray fog, as he cannot understand his language yet. Hannes Vincent's fate. Divination Club. Klein takes the public carriage to the Divination Club. He finds a lingering grief in the hall. The lie. The receptionist, Angelica, tearfully informs Klein that Hannes Vincent died of a heart attack in his sleep, the official story provided by the club's boss. Klein knows this is a cover-up for the supernatural incident. The miraculous apothecary. Bogda returns. Angelica informs Klein that the client he helped last time is waiting for him. Klein immediately notices that Bogda's liver aura has returned to normal, confirming he followed the divination. The cost. Bogda expresses immense gratitude, confirming the doctor's miraculous medicine led to a full recovery, stating the £10 were truly money well spent. Klein is shocked, realizing his 8p divination led to a powerful, expensive cure. The beyond are confirmed. Klein confirms the apothecary at Lawson's folk herb store is a beyonder. No ordinary medicine could heal such a severe liver disease so quickly. Mummy powder. Bogda, now fully believing in the apothecary, reveals his next purchase, a concoction including mummy powder, a prescription supposedly for peak performance in bed, highly sought after by nobles. Glacis's endorsement. A man named Glacis, previously treated for lung disease by Klein's divination, enthusiastically endorses the apothecary and the mummy powder concoction.
The investigation ends. Klein decides to investigate the apothecary, Lawson Darkweed, at 18 Vlad Street to see if he needs to inform Captain Dunn. However, upon arrival, he finds the shop closed with a subletting notice. The wary beyonder has vanished.
Spirit Medium Daly's fast advancement. Daly's transfer. Klein learns from Roseanne and Captain Dunn that Madame Daly, the famous spirit medium of Awa County, has been transferred to the Backlund Diocese, the world's busiest city. Rapid advancement. Dunn explains that Daly is a unique talent. While Nighthawks typically wait 3 years between sequence advancements and often take much longer, like Dunn's 9 years from Midnight Poet to Nightmare, Daly advanced from Corpse Collector, sequence 9, to Gravedigger, sequence 8, in 1 year, and from Gravedigger to Spirit Medium, sequence 7, in only 1 more year. Daly is only 24 and has immense potential. The method. When Klein asks about her secret, Dunn reveals Daly told him to become a true nightmare, which Dunn doesn't understand. Klein mentally connects this to the acting method, play the role of a nightmare. The dissection and combination hypothesis. Dunn shares Madame Daly's hypothesis regarding the seer sequence pathway, which doesn't seem to follow the normal stepped advancement model. Normal pathway, e.g. sleepless. Special pathway, e.g. seer. Stepped progression, advances step by step like a child growing, with subsequent sequences retaining similar traits, e.g. darkness, tranquility, horror. Dissection and combination. Low to mid sequences provide new, seemingly unrelated abilities like separate fingers. Metaphor. A growing child becomes taller, stronger, and more mature. Metaphor. Independent abilities that eventually mix into an abnormally powerful job, like fingers clenching into a fist. The qualitative change. Klein asks when this combination or qualitative change happens. Daly and Dunn guess at sequence 4, because this is the beginning of the higher sequences and was considered the level of demigods in ancient times. Sequence classification. Dunn clarifies the modern classification. Low sequences. Sequence 9 and 8, e.g. seer, clown. Mid sequences. Sequence 7 through 5. High sequences. Sequence 4 and above. Security clearance. Dunn also reveals his knowledge limitations. Gatekeeper is sequence 5 of the spirit medium pathway, but he doesn't know the sequence 4 potion for the Church of the Goddess. He also mentions Archbishop Ince Zangwill, the traitor who stole 008, lost control trying to advance to sequence 4. The Night Instructor. The location. Leonard Mitchell escorts Klein to the run-down 2-storied home of his combat instructor in the North Borough. Instructor Gawain. The instructor is an aged man with short blonde hair and deep wrinkles, a former true knight who was traumatized by the advent of steam guns and machine guns that made cavalry obsolete. The training. Gawain expresses disdain for traditional combat, insisting Klein should learn modern weaponry, but agrees to uphold his contract. After seeing Klein's basic punch and kick, Gawain deems his foundation so poor that he must train 4 times a week, 3 hours each time, for the first month. The routine. The training focuses on raw strength training, dumbbells, deep squats, running, and rope skipping, leaving Klein mentally dazed and physically exhausted. The feast and the aftermath. The dinner. The official welcome dinner is held at Old Will's restaurant with all Nighthawks present: Dunn Smith, Royale Radine, Kenley White, Leonard Mitchell, Sika Tron, and the civilian staff. The toast. Dunn raises a toast to officially welcome Klein Mometti as an official member, using the bonus earnings from the missions to pay the £5, 9 solis, and 6 pence bill, most of which was spent on Desi champagne. No appetite. Due to the brutal training, Klein is initially too uncomfortable to eat, and Leonard happily consumes a good portion of his food. The hunger. As the dinner nears its end, and after tasting a cold, sweet ice cream, Klein suddenly feels the intense hunger that follows heavy exertion. He immediately asks to order another plate of food. Final meal. The group laughs and Klein devours a freshly prepared black pepper steak in 90 seconds, feeling immensely satisfied.
The morning after. Klein wakes up the next day, a rest day, with severe aching muscles and a bloated feeling, the classic after effect of grueling physical training. Klein recovers from his intense combat training and visits his university mentor, only to meet a peculiar acquaintance who makes an unnerving observation about his fate. The sore professor. Excuses. Klein, suffering from severe muscle soreness, a result of his low physical stats as a seer and his weak original body, explains his slow movement to his sister Melissa by claiming the after effects of combat training. The principles of physics. When Melissa suggests training isn't gentlemanly, Klein retorts with the idea that a true professor is polite but can also educate the other person using the principles of physics by raising a cane to convince someone when there is an obstacle in communication. Humiliation. Feeling humiliated by Melissa's offer, Klein immediately straightens up and walks normally. He only allows himself to contort in pain again once he's alone in the bathroom. The academic Ozick. The visit. Klein goes to Cowan University to meet his mentor, Cohen Quentin, to borrow the monograph Research of the Hornus's Main Peaks Relics. Mr. Ozick. He finds Ozick, Cohen Quentin's best friend, and a man with gentle features, bronze skin, and an inconspicuous mole under his right ear. Ozick, who has an air of having been through the vicissitudes of life, hands Klein the book. The book and the remains. Klein reads the monograph, noting key points about the Hornus's mountain main peaks' ancient civilization. It was an advanced ancient nation, possibly human. They revered and feared the night, calling their god ruler of the Evernight, mother of the sky. No graves were found. They kept the deceased at home for 3 days, believing death was not the end. The people seemed to have vanished suddenly, leaving everything behind. The dream connection. Klein confirms that the style of the lofty, weed-overgrown palace shown in the book's photograph is identical to the one in his dream, strengthening his belief that his dream and the nation of the Evernight from the Antigonus family's notebook are related. The divination warning. Disharmony. Ozick notices Klein's energetic appearance, then touches the mole under his ear and warns him, "There is disharmony in your fate." The coincidences. Ozick asks if Klein has experienced many strange coincidences in the past 2 months, citing Emperor Rozel's philosophy. Quote, "A single coincidence is encountered by anyone. Twice is still normal. Thrice is when one should consider what internal factors are influencing those coincidences." Klein confirmation. Klein recalls 3 specific coincidences: finding the Antigonus notebook, Ray Bieber's unusual stay in Tengen, and Selena's delayed magic mirror divination.
Ozick's limits. Ozick claims he can only see the disharmony and nothing else, admitting he is not a real seer. This leaves Klein highly suspicious, as Ozick's sudden interest in divination and his specific warnings seem too pointed to be a mere enthusiast. Driven by Ozick's warning, Klein uses the mysterious space above the gray fog to test his divination abilities, confirming outside interference and the Sequence 8 potion. Testing the coincidences. Failed outside divination. Klein first uses spirit dowsing and dream divination outside the gray fog to check if Elliot's kidnapping, Ray Bieber's stay, and Selena's incident were due to beyonder elements. All results are negative or normal, suggesting he was overthinking things. The new hypothesis. Klein decides to perform the divination above the gray fog to eliminate outside interference. Above the gray fog, interference confirmed. Successful dowsing. Sitting at the bronze table, Klein repeats the dowsing for, the kidnapping of Elliot was due to beyonder elements. The topaz pendulum spins clockwise, affirmative, confirming a beyonder element was behind the kidnapping, contradicting the results from the outside world. Dream divination result. Klein uses dream divination for the statement, the true reason for Elliot's kidnapping. The dream reveals a colorful lawn, folding space, and the blurry image of a dark red chimney before the dream shatters. Klein realizes he and the Nighthawks are unknowingly being manipulated, like puppets dancing on a string. Countermeasures.
When he tries to divine the other two incidents again, Ray Bieber and Selena, the spirit dowsing is motionless, neither confirmation nor rejection, and the dream divination yields only fragmented fog. He concludes the entity behind the events has sensed his divinations and engaged in countermeasures. Clown potion confirmed. Plan. With an unprecedented motivation to improve, Klein decides to prioritize advancing his sequence, confirming the clown potion and investigating Azek. Divining the pathway. He uses dowsing above the fog for the corresponding sequence 8 of sequence 9 is clown. He receives a definitive affirmative answer. Divining the advancement style. When he tries to divine if sequences 8 through 5 of the seer pathway grant at least one brand new, unrelated power, Daly's hypothesis, the pendulum hangs motionless, suggesting insufficient information for the revelation. Final divination. Klein writes a new statement. Clues to the clown potion.